cost-cutting, layoffs, relocation, buyouts, mergers. 2023 appears to be a tough period for people employed in the technology sector. Some businesses have acknowledged that they just employed too many employees during the COVID-19 pandemic, which promised a digital acceleration that simply didn't materialize, even if the majority of businesses are blaming the layoffs on the economy. Adding to the latest intensifying economic unrest, Microsoft is laying off 10,000 employees. What's really happening there? Here's a look. January 18, 2023. Microsoft confirmed in a filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission that 10,000 employees will be affected as part of the workforce reduction steps the company is implementing. This was in response to macroeconomic conditions and changing consumer preferences. The company's third fiscal quarter this year, which concludes in March, will see the completion of these layoffs. The announcement comes as massive layoffs continue to plague the IT sector. One of Microsoft's largest ever rounds of layoffs, this one surpasses the 5,800 reduction in 2009 and comes in second to the 18,000 positions eliminated in 2014. However, that 2014 cutback involved the firing of over 12,500 former Nokia employees and came soon after Nadella had become CEO. As Microsoft abandoned its disastrous acquisition of the mobile phone manufacturer Nokia, Nadella eliminated around 25,000 positions between 2014 and 2015. The announcement of layoffs by Microsoft is the most recent in a string of big tech firms. In addition to the 18,000 employees affected by Amazon's big layoffs, Meta announced 11,000 staff layoffs last year. Salesforce recently announced a 10% staff reduction that will affect 7,000 employees, while Amazon is currently in the process of laying off 18,000 people. Microsoft presently employs more than 220,000 people, and this most recent round of layoffs affects a sizable portion of its staff, which is around 5% of the workforce. Additionally, these reductions are a great deal bigger than the 1% Microsoft reduced from its employees last year. Nadella's statements in an email memo to staffers echoed those of other technology firms that have made significant layoff announcements in recent months. In essence, its clients have decreased their digital spending since the epidemic, in part as a result of the worldwide economic crisis. The layoffs, according to CEO Nadella in a message to the workers, are the kinds of hard choices we have taken over our 47-year existence to stay a consequential organization in this sector that is merciless to anyone who doesn't adapt to platform shifts. Additionally, Nadella had suggested that the next 2 years would be difficult for the software maker and other tech companies just a few weeks prior to the layoffs. The business will take a $1.2 billion charge in its quarter 2 earnings. The layoffs and $1.2 billion charge obviously portend certain failed revenue targets in certain areas of Microsoft's company. Microsoft's fiscal year 2022 came to a conclusion with $198 billion in revenue, $83 billion in operating profits, and Microsoft Cloud's first annualized revenue to top $100 billion. Only a few days have passed since Microsoft's new unlimited time off policy went into effect. Managers will have unlimited discretionary time off, and those Microsoft employees who have unused vacation time will receive a one-time compensation in April. The strategy has received a mixed response from Microsoft employees, with some preferring the freedom and others cautioning about the absence of perks and guaranteed days. The engineering and human resources departments are anticipated to be the most severely impacted by these job layoffs, according to reports from Bloomberg and Reuters. The company's HoloLens goggles business is one of its recognized segments. Microsoft's version of augmented reality is the HoloLens, which the company describes as a completely untethered, see-through holographic computer. Even though the economic unrest continues, Microsoft still intends to hire in other important strategic areas despite eliminating some positions. Microsoft stated that the US-based employees will receive above-market severance pay. However, it did not define this. Additionally, it stated that those affected would continue to get medical care for a further 6 months, career transition assistance, and 60 days notice before termination. As of June 30th, 2022, Microsoft has around 221,000 full-time employees worldwide, with about 122,000 of those employees headquartered in the U.S., according to a U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission filing. With the layoffs, Microsoft Microsoft joined a long list of other IT behemoths that have retreated after years of frantic hiring to keep up with the pandemic-driven increase in internet services and the growth of cloud computing. The technology sector expanded more quickly than it has in decades, rivaling the dot-com boom's growth in the 1990s. Microsoft generated $17.6 billion in profit during the September to November quarter on the back of $50 billion in sales. Quarterly dividends and a $60 billion share repurchase program approved by its board of directors in 2021 have both been used to continue returning money to investors. Over the course of 3 years, the company's yearly sales increased by 58%, and more than 75,000 individuals were hired. However, Microsoft's outlook has been dampened by rising interest rates and the possibility of a recession. It announced its worst growth in the most recent quarter in 5 years and foreshadowed much more subpar results. Microsoft is moving forward with a number of risky bets, including a potential $10 billion addition to its investment in OpenAI, the company behind the widely successful ChatGPT artificial intelligence system, and a $69 billion purchase of Activision, a video game publisher that is being challenged by antitrust authorities around the world. Despite the well-publicized layoffs from some of the largest names in technology, including Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, and others, the overall job market is doing well. While hiring has only marginally slowed, slowing pay growth has given some investors hope that it will ease pressure on the Federal Reserve to maintain raising interest rates. Engineers and other technical professionals are still in high demand. According to labor analysts and recruiters, those who are laid off will probably work directly for businesses that are digitizing their operations, such as banking, retail, or healthcare, rather than for large tech companies themselves. Since the peak of the epidemic, when businesses and families bought laptops so they could work and study from home, demand for personal computers has dropped significantly. Microsoft offers a Surface range of laptops and tablets. The decrease in consumer PC sales that began in September last year will last through at least June this year, the company's finance director Amy Hood told investors. Layoffs are also occurring at Bethesda Game Studios, the video game publisher that Microsoft recently acquired. With the eagerly anticipated action role-playing video game Starfield on the way, the game company has released a number of critically acclaimed gaming titles. The Gears of War game developer Coalition and the Halo company 343 Industries both suffered consequences. AltSpace VR, a social network based in virtual reality that Microsoft purchased in 2017, has also been discontinued by Microsoft. The online venue for events was created in 2013. Microsoft and its rivals essentially gathered technical personnel as a response to the rapid increase in client demand. But as workers began to return to their offices, budgets were stretched by inflation, and customers looked for pleasure away from home, the market slowed down last year. Smaller tech companies have been hit particularly hard by the industry's slowdown, and businesses that focus on cutting-edge ideas like Bitcoin have also suffered. However, the big names in technology are not exempt. The only major corporations in the sector to have not yet disclosed large layoffs are Apple and Alphabet, the parent company of Google. Since the beginning of the year, a number of software companies have drastically reduced their workforces due to funding constraints brought on by rising interest rates and the impact of inflation on consumer spending. As individuals get back to living offline, the desire for digital services that was present during the pandemic has also decreased. Okta, Spotify, HubSpot, NCC Group, PayPal, and a number of other businesses have all announced layoffs as part of the ongoing reduction trend. Each of these businesses disclosed layoffs of between 5 and 7% of their workforces. With Microsoft being the latest, the tech sector is still humming.